Welcome to our channel, Crime Loom, the place where true crime stories come alive. The town of Millstone looked peaceful from the outside. The streets were quiet, the shops small, the people polite. But behind the calm, something was wrong. A murder case that had shocked the town was suddenly missing from police records. The main file, witness reports, photos, everything, had disappeared overnight without a trace. Detective Aaron Cole arrived early that morning, coffee in hand, unaware that nothing in Millstone would ever be the same again. Inside the small police station, silence filled the air, broken only by the ticking of the clock. Somewhere, someone knew exactly what had happened to those missing case files, and they were willing to do anything to keep the truth buried. The morning was quiet in the small town of Millstone. The streets were empty except for a few parked cars and the sound of birds sitting on electric wires. The sun was still low, giving the town a pale gold color. Detective Aaron Cole parked his old sedan outside the police station. The car was more than 10 years old. One mirror cracked, the paint faded, but it still started every morning without complaint. He took a sip of his coffee, which had already gone cold, and stepped out of the car. Inside the small station, the smell of ink, dust, and paper hung in the air. The desks were cluttered with reports, half-eaten sandwiches, and cups of coffee that had gone stale overnight. Sergeant Maria Lopez stood near the evidence board, arms crossed, her dark hair pulled back tightly. Her sharp eyes were fixed on a folder marked Hawthorne Case. The red label was smudged, the handwriting slightly faded. When Aaron entered, she turned toward him. "You're early," she said. "Couldn't sleep," Aaron replied. "Something's been bothering me." Maria gave a tired sigh. "You and me both. The captain called me in early. He said something's gone missing." Aaron frowned. "Missing? What's missing?" "The main case file. The one from the Hawthorne investigation." For a second, Aaron didn't move. The Hawthorne case had been their biggest one in years. The murder of Dr. Evelyn Hawthorne, a local pharmacist who had been found dead behind the counter of her own store one stormy night. The case had shaken Millstone. Everyone knew her. Everyone had their theories. But without that file, everything they had built, witness statements, photos, phone records, was gone. Aaron set his coffee down slowly. "You're telling me the evidence file was taken from the evidence room?" Maria nodded. "Sometime last night. It was there yesterday when I checked. Gone this morning. The security cameras didn't catch anything." Aaron rubbed his forehead. "That's impossible. That room's locked, logged, and under surveillance 24 hours a day." "Apparently not last night," Maria said. "The system rebooted around 2 in the morning. 15 minutes of blackout." Aaron stared at her. 15 minutes is all it takes." They both went into the evidence room. The shelves were lined neatly with boxes, tags, and files. Everything had its place. But halfway down, there was a gap, one empty space between two folders. The label beside it read E. Hawthorne, confidential. Aaron ran his fingers across the empty spot. "Who had access?" "Same as always. Me, you, the captain, and the evidence clerk," Maria replied. "Where's Tim?" Aaron asked. "On patrol, but he was on night duty yesterday," Maria said. They called Officer Tim Riley into the office later that morning. The young officer looked nervous, his hands fidgeting as he stood in front of Aaron's desk. "You were on duty last night, right?" Aaron asked. "Yes, sir," Tim said. "I checked the logs before I left. Everything looked fine. You notice anyone near the evidence room?" "No, sir, I swear." The station was quiet after midnight. Aaron leaned back in his chair, studying the boy's face. Tim had only been on the force for 6 months. Too green, too nervous to lie well, but that didn't mean he wasn't hiding something. By noon, the town had already started whispering. In Millstone, secrets didn't stay secret for long. Someone at the diner claimed to have seen a car near the station late at night. Another said there had been lights near the river. The talk spread faster than truth could travel. Aaron and Maria worked through the day, piecing together what little they had. Without the file, they had only memories and scattered notes. Evelyn Hawthorne had been kind but distant, respected but mysterious. Her business partner, Robert Klein, had argued with her days before her death. Some said it was about money, others whispered it was something more personal. When night fell, Aaron sat in his office, staring at the empty corkboard where the photos used to hang. Maria came in holding 2 cups of coffee. "You're still here," she said. "Can't go home," he answered. "Not while someone out there is erasing our work." She placed a torn piece of paper on his desk. "Found this under one of the shelves in evidence." Aaron picked it up carefully. It was part of a log sheet with a note scrawled in blue ink. "Don't trust them." "Check the old case," he frowned. "Old case? Which one?" "Maybe the Peterson case," Maria said. "Remember that one? 5 years ago, evidence disappeared too." He remembered. Same evidence clerk, same storage room. The suspect in that case had walked free because key documents went missing. History repeats itself, Aaron muttered. The next morning, Aaron visited retired officer Neil Peterson, who had once managed the evidence room. Neil's house sat on the edge of town, the porch covered in dust. The old man greeted him with a weak smile. "I heard you lost something," Neil said. "Just like before," Aaron nodded. "You warned them about security back then." Neil chuckled bitterly. "They said it was just bad luck." He disappeared into the back room and returned with a small cardboard box filled with old logbooks. "I kept copies. Thought they might be useful someday." Aaron flipped through the yellowed pages. Several entries had been erased and rewritten. Some signatures were smudged, others replaced. One name appeared again and again. "Ross. Captain Ross?" Aaron asked. Neil nodded. "He was a sergeant then, always signing off things he shouldn't have." Aaron's stomach tightened. "You think Ross is behind this?" "I think Ross has secrets," Neil said quietly. "And I think you're not supposed to find them." When Aaron returned to the station, Maria met him in the parking lot. "You need to see this," she said. In the trunk of a patrol car lay a burnt folder. The label was half gone, but the letters Thorn were visible. The edges were blackened. Aaron opened it carefully. Inside were half-burned pages, photos, reports, a charred USB drive. "Someone tried to destroy it," Maria said. "They didn't finish the job," Aaron replied. "Let's see what's left." At the lab, they salvaged what they could. A few photographs survived. A picture of Evelyn Hawthorne standing in front of her pharmacy, another of a man in a dark suit leaving the store. His face was turned away, but the timestamp placed him there 15 minutes before her death. They also recovered a small piece of paper with a phone number written on it. Aaron dialed it. The line rang twice. Then a woman answered, her voice low and shaky. "Who is this?" "This is Detective Cole, Millstone Police. I found your number connected to the Hawthorne case." Silence. Then she whispered, "You shouldn't have called me." "They're still watching." "Who's watching?" The line went dead. Aaron stared at the phone. He traced the call. It came from an old abandoned house near the quarry. He grabbed his coat and left. The road to the quarry was rough and overgrown. The house stood crooked and half-broken, its windows shattered, roof sagging. Inside, the air smelled of damp wood. His flashlight beam moved across the walls until it landed on a metal filing cabinet in the corner. 3 drawers empty, 1 drawer locked. He forced it open with his pocket knife. Inside was a single envelope. He opened it. There was one photograph, Captain Ross shaking hands with Robert Klein. The photo was time-stamped 3 weeks before Evelyn's murder. When Aaron returned to the station, Ross was waiting in his office. "You've been busy," Ross said calmly. Aaron placed the photo on his desk. "You said you didn't know Klein?" Ross gave a thin smile. "That picture was from a charity event." "You're grasping at shadows." "Then why wasn't it in the reports?" Aaron asked. Ross leaned back. "You need to stop this before it hurts your career." "The town doesn't like troublemakers." Maria appeared at the doorway. "Captain, Internal Affairs called." "They're asking about the missing file." Ross's smile faded. "Tell them it's under review." When Maria left, Aaron stood. "If you're hiding something, I'll find it." Ross looked him dead in the eye. "You won't have the chance." That night, Aaron couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Headlights followed him halfway home, then disappeared. When he reached his porch, an envelope was taped to his door. Inside was a short note. "Stop digging or you'll end up like her. He didn't sleep that night." The next morning, Maria called. Ross didn't show up. "His car's gone. His office is empty." Aaron hurried to the station. The captain's desk was spotless, drawers cleared, computer wiped. Not a single document remained. It was as if he'd never existed. Later that day, Aaron and Maria met by the river where the first piece of evidence, a metal clip, had been found. The river moved slowly, silent except for the hum of insects. Maria tossed a stone into the water. "What now?" Aaron looked at the reflection of the gray sky. "We keep digging," she turned to him. "Even if it costs your job?" He nodded. "Somebody has to." They spent the next week combing through backup records trying to rebuild the missing file. Most of the digital copies were corrupted or deleted, but one piece survived. A witness statement from a man named Eric Shaw, a drifter who'd seen someone leaving the pharmacy the night of the murder. The statement was dated the same day the original file vanished. Aaron tracked him down at a rundown motel outside town. Shaw looked older than his age, his eyes darting around the room. "I already told the police what I saw," he said. "Tell me again," Aaron said softly. "It was late," Shaw said. "Storm coming in. I saw a car parked outside the pharmacy. Black SUV. 2 people inside. The driver stayed, the other went in. 10 minutes later, the lights went out. Then a shadow came out carrying a box." "A box?" "Yeah, like one of those storage boxes. They put it in the SUV and drove off toward the highway. Did you see their faces?" Shaw shook his head. "No, but I saw the license plate. I wrote it down." He handed Aaron a crumpled piece of paper. The plate number was partially visible, but enough to trace. Back at the station, Aaron ran the number. It matched a vehicle registered under a fake name but leased by a shell company. The company's address led to an office once owned by Ross. That night, Aaron sat alone in his car outside the pharmacy. Rain began to fall, tapping against the windshield. He thought about Evelyn, about the missing file, about Ross, and the web that seemed to stretch across the entire town. Millstone looked quiet, but underneath the calm surface, something rotten was buried deep. The next morning, Maria found a flash drive in her locker with no note. She plugged it into a secure terminal. A single video file opened, a grainy recording from inside the evidence room. It showed a man entering during the blackout, walking straight to the Hawthorne file and taking it off the shelf. The face was covered by a mask, but his build was familiar. Aaron watched the video twice, then a third time. The way the man walked, the small limp, it reminded him of Captain Ross, but the video cut off halfway through. The rest was corrupted. Aaron looked up at Maria. "If this gets out, people will start asking questions." Maria nodded. "Maybe that's what someone wants." A week later, a fisherman found a car at the bottom of the river near the quarry. It was Ross's black SUV. Inside, they found his badge, his gun, and a box of half-burned papers. The plates matched the number from Shaw's note. No body was ever found. The town called it an accident. The department filed a short report and closed the investigation. Officially, the Hawthorne file was declared irrecoverably lost. But Aaron didn't believe in accidents anymore. One night, he returned to the station long after everyone had gone home. The lights flickered. He sat at his desk staring at the empty evidence board. Then he opened his drawer and found something new inside, a small, sealed envelope. He tore it open. Inside was a single metal clip, identical to the one he'd found at the river, and a note that read, "There's still one more file missing." Aaron looked toward the evidence room door. The hallway was dark, silent. He felt the weight of the town pressing down on him, its secrets, its lies, and the quiet fear that never left. He stood, put on his coat, and walked outside. Rain had started again, steady and cold. He looked up at the streetlights glowing through the mist. Somewhere out there, someone knew the truth. Maybe Ross wasn't dead. Maybe the missing file still existed. The night swallowed the sound of his footsteps as he walked toward his car. He knew he was being watched again. He could feel it, the same silent presence that had followed him before. He turned once, scanning the shadows, but saw nothing. Only the soft drizzle and the sound of the river in the distance. He started the engine and drove off into the fog, leaving the empty streets of Millstone behind. The case was far from over, but some cases were never meant to be solved. And in Millstone, the truth had a way of disappearing, just like the case files that went missing. You've just seen another chilling story from the world of true crime, but there are many more secrets waiting to be uncovered. Subscribe to Crime Loom, and join us as we unravel more heists, mysteries, and untold legends. Don't miss what's coming next, because in the world of crime, the truth is always stranger than fiction. Subscribe to Crime Loom, and join us as we unravel more heists, mysteries, and untold legends.